When the word roller mania came up, it was the first time it had ever happened since Beatlemania. And there was no doubt that they were fantastic. And there's never been that again. I don't care what you say about any of these acts, but what they don't realise, these pop groups, is pop groups have a very short life. But all through the 60s, 2 years was a pop group, a pop span. You know, you can't be a giant forever.
By 1977, the pressure of the intense work schedule was beginning to take its toll.
Half the time I was really stressed out because there was so much business behind it as well. The meaning from playing in the band was actually going on stage for that hour and a half. That was the whole thing about it. But the rehearsals, for instance, 1974, I had one day off, that was crazy. And I think I had to go to a wedding that day.
Beneath the happy boy band image created by the record company, cracks were starting to show. Isolated from the outside world by Tam Payton, the Rollers took out their frustrations on each other.
As the bands hit the charts and, they went on stage, the rivalry did start. There was lots of jealousy created. I would say mainly between Les and Eric. There was terrible rivalry there. I couldn't even control it myself.
Well, the other guys in the band didn't like me for, lots of reasons, apart from me being really cheeky and being the guy who came into the band and made them all famous, basically. They hated me for that. Eric Faulkner probably had designs on being the singer in the band. I came in with brass neck, get out the front, woo, come on, get the audience going, it was great fun. And I could tell that he was, jealous or envious.
Unfortunately, Eric used to think he was John Lennon. And I would have said in that case, I think he rose above himself. The only person that mattered anything to him was Eric Faulkner. And then, of course, we had Les McEwen, and I hate to say it, he wasn't exactly Elvis Presley.
When we did the American series, they had the 5 of us staying in the one house. We started to fall out quite a lot. Guys started to go their separate ways. It just wasn't a good thing. I think that's when the arguments probably would have started. I don't want to mention names because everybody would be guilty. You can't really blame one person for the downfall. But that would have been the beginning of the end.
It's a teenage dream to be 17.
The backbiting and feuding eventually erupted in violence on stage during a tour of Japan in 1978. The Rollers' dream was finally over.
I remember we arrived in Osaka and there was 40,000 teenagers there. And Les had sent a message over to the group, and he headed it, the backing group, to my backing group. And I remember the letter being brought over by a road manager, and I tried to stop them getting the letter because I knew right away there was going to be a problem when they saw the backing group to the backing group,
They had all arranged that they would start each song in, let's say A, if a song was in A, and just before I would start to sing, they would go to the proper key or another key, so that I would sound like I'm singing off key. Everybody had a spotlight in the Rollers. I never had a spotlight, not on that Japanese tour. So I've started to stand beside Eric and put my arm around him and that, and stand in his spotlight and sing. Yeah, stuff like this. And he's trying to get away from me and all this kind of stuff. One thing led to another, and I ended up nutting Woody and smacking Eric, and a big fight ensued. And that was it. After that, they all stood in a gauntlet in my hotel, like you would get at school, try to kick me and beat me and all that stuff. Yeah, it was weird because I had my security fighting their security, and they're trying to kick me and put your butt. I've seen people have nasty divorces, and elements of that were included in our breakup.
Les split from the Rollers thinking he was a rich man. In fact, as he was soon to find out, he was practically penniless.
Nobody, not even the Bay City Rollers, knows just how much they're earning from the mania they've created. They do have lots of people to pay, of course, like managers and bodyguards, but there should be enough left over to make these very likeable, very ordinary entertainers some of the richest boys next door there's ever been, for the moment anyway.
But not in Les McEwen's case. On quitting the Rollers, he had a nasty shock in store.
What happened when I left the band is I come back to London, and shortly behind me in the post was a £24,000 American Express bill. Could you please pay it? That's funny, I've never seen one of them before. It always gets paid. Tried to phone up Tom Payton, couldn't get through to him. Tried to phone anybody that was, you know, a couple of weeks before, it was my best friend, would jump in front of a bullet to save my life. Nobody would speak to me. And so I was in dire straits at that point because I owed the American Express 24 grand. When I got that bill, it was just a sort of taster, but when they came and repossessed, more or less said, you've got to get out of this house, and within 10 days, well, you ain't paid your mortgage for like 2 months. You've defaulted. Haven't you got any letters? No. Sorry, you have to leave. What a fucking state I was in. And I was also thinking, how am I going to make money if I can't get any money out of those bastards, basically?
2 months after Les left the band, the remaining Bay City Rollers sacked their manager, Tam Payton, and discovered that they too had no money in the bank.
People do something, they get paid for it, and they didn't. You're dealing with human damage, some of it visible, some of it measurable, a lot of it not. You don't measure how much heartache goes into not being able to feed your family, not being able to buy a car, do something you want to do, not being able to hold your head up.
I've never been paid for this. I mean, I've got to pay my mortgage on my house and things like that. There's nothing there now. They've not paid. And I say, well, there must be money lying about somewhere, you know. This is crazy. On my wall, I've got maybe, I don't know, about 14 gold albums or something. You know, where's the money going?
We made a lot of money for that particular record company, lots of money. They should acknowledge that fact and say, here, there's what you are due.
They are all battered by this, scarred by it. All the worse because their bloody songs keep turning up on the radio, on TV programmes, on records, on every possible form of media. And what do they get? This.